Hey, does your anime look boring and repetitive and you don't want to spend so much time in a sprite coloring every different one of them? Let me show you how to use shader in Godot. This is our third devlog, third devlog for my game Eirth. Eirth is basically the word for legacy in Arabic, and that's what my game is going to focus on. Think about Stardew Valley, Harvest Moon, but instead of playing with one character, your character is not going to be the focus. Your character is going to die, and then someone else will come and pick up their legacy. And 100 years later, maybe the character will be remembered as a god or a hero or a villain based on what you did while you're playing with that character. So let's jump in and I will show you what I did this week for my game. So to be able to color this pixel art as many times as I want and however I want, I had to first make it white in color. And I add all my shading in gray. So basically I have my shading in gray color and then the basic art is white. And the reason I'm doing white is because when you use the multiply layer on top of white, the colors looks actually accurate. So that's my plan for this. Then I made a copy of the same exact piece and I colored it with RGB. So I colored every part of the body that will be colored separately with a different color. Just looks like this. And then I went to my favorite game engine, Godot. So in Godot, I added a sprite, or actually an animated sprite, and I picked all my art, and then I added a shader. And I used this code for the shader. You can just copy it, look at it, how pretty it is. It's simply create a texture, and then this texture is something you will add, which is going to be the RGB part of the art. And that will help us color our character by just changing the shade of color we need in there. Now you can customize your main character, and I added this UI buttons just as an added in to show you how you can actually customize it. I'm gonna remove them later and put them in some kind of a setting thing whenever you start the game, blah blah blah. But for now you can change the character colors and that. I know my character look bold and boring right now, but I'm gonna add a hair and a beard to it and we will be able to customize it. I will just add another sprite on top of the other sprite and then you will be able to customize that one. Alright, so what about the enemies? Alright, I have this zombie enemy as a placeholder. I don't think I will have zombies in the game. Maybe I will. You can let me know if you think it would be a good fit or not. I didn't even tell you what's like the environment theme would be like. It's like a magical world. I probably need to sit down one day and get you in more details about what the world will look like so people actually know what I'm trying to build out here. I have this zombie enemy right now and we will definitely change it later, but for now it's just a placeholder. And we will do the same thing. Because it's a zombie, I decided to make the colors of the skin limited. So I made a table and I added all the color skins, which basically different shade of green and blue, I guess you can call it, yeah. And that's what we're going to use for the skin. And the shader for the enemy is a little bit different. So this is the shader. The difference is I'm creating an instant of the shaders instead of just changing one shader, because if I didn't do that, whenever I change any of the enemy colors, all of them will change to the same color. But if you made it as an instant, it will be different. You will actually be able to customize every one by itself. And this is the code I used to generate random colors for the enemies. And then I just dropped them in my main scene to see how they work around. You can see how pretty they are. Look at them, very handsome zombies, I guess you can call them. And the cool thing about this part is if I wanted to add any feature, like details to the face or anything like that, I can without having to add the feature a million times for every zombie color. And that will make my life way easier in terms of creating the characters, and also it will make it look very diverse and not boring. All the enemies look exactly the same. And I know right now you can see that the zombies have so many different colors and related to one another. I'm gonna stick to a color palette. This was just like a proof of concept. This is the part usually you don't see in a devlog because people try to make their game look pretty for a devlog, but I guess I don't understand how to do that. So you're seeing everything. I'm being very transparent with you on that regard. Doesn't this button look cute? Don't you wanna, like, tap it maybe? Try, it doesn't hurt and actually makes me happy and it makes the button happy. Oh, and look at this cute button. Don't leave it hanging, go ahead and click on it. Look at it. Amazing button. I don't know, am I pointing at the button or is it down here? Maybe it's here. Yep, it's here, definitely. Go ahead and click on it. Alright, so that was about the colors. Now let's go back to the combat system. You know, in this game you will be able to hold different weapons and different tools for farming as well. And I wanted to make it easy for myself and more fun for you to be able to change between those tools, and I didn't want to draw a specific art piece for every single tool. You know, like when you are slashing with a sword, that's a different animation. When you're using a bow and arrow, that's a different animation. But when you slash with a sword and hit with an axe, it's probably the same animation, minus the weapon. So I didn't want to create the whole sprite again with every animation, because when you try to put the face stuff like the hair and beard again, it will be weird and I will end up creating a lot of different sprites. So to solve this, I made the weapons into a separate sprite. So I made this combat component, and the combat component has two elements. The first element is just the sprite of the weapon, a static sprite, like how it would look like when you're walking. And then the other part, which is more complex, is a resource part. So I made a resource for every weapon, and right now I only have a sword. I'm gonna add the rest later. And when you go to this resource, you have a scene component or a node, however it goes in Godot. In this node, you have a sprite of the action of the sword, like how the sword is moving. But this scene would not handle the animation, it just has the animation sprite, but all this animation logic will go to the combat component. And the reason I'm doing that is because all the weapons will have the same animation name. Of course, different animation, but they all have the same animation name, and it would be easier to have the code there so you can tweak it. Instead of having to tweak every single weapon separately, you can just tweak them all together. And this part will handle how much damage the weapon have, the knockback, and all the other feature of the weapon. And then the other part will handle the animation of the weapon. So basically, every time I attack, a new component spawns. So the static sprite for the sword disappear and a new sprite appear with all the animation and everything, and then the collision and the whole thing happens there, and then it disappears and the sword appears again. And this will make it way easier, and I added a little bit of up and down movement using a sine function just to make it look like the arm is going up and down when you walk, just to give it more realism. So that's what I have for this week. So if you made it this far in the video, thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, it helps me a lot. And I added a Google form at the bottom for people who want to be a playtester whenever I have my demo out, so I can get a good feedback and make the game even better. Wait for next week, I'm going to teach you how to be a game dev who get paid even if you just started. But don't quit your job.